Picture this, it's 2003, and a philosophical paper comes across your desk. The title is simple and terrifying. Are you living in a computer simulation? It's written by Nick Bostrom, a Swedish philosopher at Oxford. It lays out a trilemma, a choice between three deeply unsettling possibilities. And as you read it, it forces you to question everything you thought was real. Because if post-human civilizations exist, we might all just be code. That paper was Nick Bostrom's 2003 publication in the Philosophical Quarterly, which formally proposed the simulation argument. But a draft was already circulating back in 2001, so the debate had a head start. And at its core, it's a trilemma. 1. Humans go extinct before becoming a post-human civilization. 2. Any post-human civilization that emerges simply chooses not to run ancestor simulations.
Or 3. We are almost certainly living inside a computer simulation right now. There is no fourth option in his argument.
So, basically, we either die out, get bored, or we're all just digital dust. That's quite the menu of options.
The idea of reality as an illusion isn't new. Philosophers have pondered this for centuries, from Zhuangzi's butterfly dream to Descartes' evil demon.
Right. Plato's cave. We've been asking if the shadows on the wall are the real deal for thousands of years. So, what makes Bostrom's argument different?
Bostrom modernized the question. He framed it not with demons or shadows, but with the very real exponential growth of computing power and our ability to create increasingly realistic virtual worlds. He posited that if a civilization reaches a post-human stage, a point of technological maturity with immense computing capabilities, they would likely run a significant number of ancestor simulations.
Ancestor simulations, meaning incredibly detailed historical recreations of their past, with conscious beings inside them. So, like The Sims, but with philosophical existential dread.
Exactly. Bostrom argues that any sufficiently advanced civilization reaching this post-human stage would possess the computational power and the curiosity to run such simulations.
To what end, though? Just to observe their past, or to learn from it like a giant historical laboratory?
The paper suggests a mix of historical research, curiosity, or even entertainment. And here is the kicker. If they ran many of these simulations, the number of simulated minds would exponentially exceed the number of biological minds in their original base reality.
Wait, so the simulated population would just swamp the real one? Like, if I have one real ant farm, but then I simulate 1 billion more?
A powerful statistical claim. The sheer scale makes it hard to ignore.
Precisely. If that statistical likelihood holds, then the probability overwhelmingly points to us being one of those many simulations, rather than the singular original base reality.
So, statistically speaking, our lives are just a very elaborate history class project.
It's a challenging thought experiment to refute purely on logical grounds.
Moving into the investigation, one of the most compelling aspects of the case for simulation theory points to the sheer processing power that post-human civilizations could wield. Our own technological trajectory, often summarized by Moore's law, suggests exponential growth continues.
But Moore's law, while impressive, isn't infinite. There are fundamental physical limits to computation, aren't there?
Yeah. Eventually you run out of atoms, right? Or the universe just says, nope, not enough RAM.
Exactly. To simulate an entire universe, down to every quantum fluctuation, with conscious beings inside it, would demand an absurd amount of computational energy. That feels like a fundamental barrier, even for a post-human civilization.
It's a significant hurdle, true. However, proponents argue that our current understanding of physics might be incomplete, or that a post-human civilization could tap into unknown energy sources, or even develop entirely new computing paradigms.
Or maybe they just hit low graphics settings for us. Save some energy.
Perhaps Morgan, but some physicists suggest looking deeper into the fabric of our reality itself. They interpret the discrete nature of space-time observed in quantum mechanics as potential evidence of a pixelated reality.
A pixelated reality? You mean like, if you zoom in far enough, our universe is made of tiny squares?
Essentially, they propose it's a universe built from fundamental digital units, not continuously flowing as we perceive it.
Wait, So you're saying our universe has a frame rate? Like a video game where sometimes things clip through walls.
It's certainly a visual analogy that helps explain the idea to a broader audience. Casey.
And it gives me an excuse for when I walk into door frames. Oh, the simulation lag.
Beyond quantum mechanics, proponents further suggest that information theory supports the idea. They argue the universe fundamentally processes information, much like a computer system.
So the universe is just one giant hard drive, constantly writing and rewriting data.
In a sense, yes. This aligns perfectly with the concept of a simulated system, where information is the primary constituent.
That still feels more philosophical than scientific evidence. Alex, are there any more concrete observations or arguments for this being a simulation that aren't rooted in philosophical interpretations of physics?
Well, one significant factor, though not scientific proof, is the sheer number of high-profile figures who have publicly embraced the theory.
Like who? My weird uncle who thinks the moon landing was filmed in a soundstage.
More like Elon Musk. He stated in a 2016 interview that the odds of us not living in a simulation are 1 in billions.
Elon Musk thinks so. Well, he also wants to put chips in our brains, so he's probably just thinking ahead for the next software update for humanity.
A little on the nose, Casey, but I get your point. His personal enthusiasm might not be scientific consensus.
It's true that Musk is a proponent of brain-computer interfaces, but his simulation argument is rooted in the same logic as Bostrom's. His belief, regardless of strict scientific consensus, has certainly amplified public discourse.
He definitely moved it from philosophy seminars to late-night talk shows.
So, if a billionaire says it, it's a cultural touchstone, but if I say my toaster is sentient, it's time for a vacation. Got it.
It has made the simulation hypothesis a cultural touchstone, prompting many outside academia to consider its implications.
Okay, let's try to separate fact from speculation then. To summarize, Bostrom's simulation argument, from his 2003 paper, is mathematically and logically consistent in its trilemma framework.
That's confirmed. The logical structure of his argument, as presented, holds together.
So, the math checks out, even if the premise feels like science fiction.
Yes, the core structure is sound. It doesn't claim definitively that we are in a simulation, but it forces us to acknowledge that one of those 3 possibilities Morgan outlined earlier must hold true.
And that's key. It's a robust philosophical framework for a very big question. It says, one of these is true, not this one is true.
So it's like a really elegant philosophical riddle, but without an answer key, and the prize might be discovering you're a NPC.
And we can confirm the statistical argument is a powerful probability-based component of the case for. If posthumans run simulations, then simulated realities would almost certainly vastly outnumber base reality.
It's a numbers game. If you can make 1 million copies of something, the odds are you're holding a copy, not the original. That's the core of the probabilistic argument.
So, we're basically a statistical inevitability. Great! Puts my student loans in perspective.
However, that's where the confirmed facts end and the speculation begins. The interpretation of quantum mechanics, like the discrete nature of spacetime, as direct empirical evidence for a pixelated reality, is still highly speculative among most physicists.
That's a critical distinction. It's an analogy, a what-if, not a discovery. No one has found a pixel of the universe.
So, the simulation lagged excuse for bumping into walls is officially debunked. Got it.
And the other massive hurdle, as we touched on, is the sheer computational energy and processing requirements needed to run a universe-scale simulation with consciousness. It remains an unproven, and perhaps unprovable, hurdle.
Even for a hypothetical posthuman civilization, the energy cost to render our reality in full fidelity might be greater than the energy contained within the simulated universe itself. That's a paradox with no easy answer.
So, what you're telling me is we have a compelling intellectual exercise that has convinced some billionaires, but zero actual proof that we're all just code. Seems like a pretty good gig for a simulation, if you ask me.
Ultimately, the simulation theory resonates because it offers a modern technological framework for humanity's oldest philosophical questions. What is real? What is consciousness? What is our place in the cosmos?
It takes questions that were once the domain of pure philosophy and gives them a veneer of computational plausibility.
It's Plato's cave for people who own a gaming PC.
And that's a perfect segue, Casey, because it also reflects our own technological advancements.
As in, we're now capable of building incredibly complex, immersive digital worlds ourselves.
Precisely. As we create more sophisticated virtual realities, augmented realities, and advanced AI, the idea that we might be in one becomes less alien, more a natural progression.
So it's less ancient mystery and more futurists got really good at Photoshop?
In a way, yes. It's like we're projecting our own tech ambitions onto the cosmos. We want to build the Matrix, so someone must have built our Matrix first.
It's a self-referential loop. Our desire to create simulations fuels the belief that we are one.
And if you want more of this kind of thing, actual evidence, actual context, actual weirdness, we're here every week. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.
Beyond mirroring our technological drive, the theory offers a narrative where our existence might possess a grander, even if artificial, purpose or origin.
A comforting thought for some. Perhaps it shifts the burden of random chance to a designer, however simulated.
So instead of being a cosmic accident, we're like the ultimate Easter egg.
It also prompts a profound thought experiment, making us appreciate the complexity and perceived reality we do experience, simulated or not.
It forces us to engage with the very nature of existence. Even if we aren't simulated, the question itself deepens our understanding of reality, our perception.
So it's like a philosophical workout, keeps the brain muscles toned.
We've explored the intellectual bedrock and compelling aspects of the simulation theories, case 4. From Bostrom's rigorously consistent trilemma to the statistical likelihood of simulated worlds.
We've laid out the arguments that, while not empirical proof, provide a strong philosophical foundation for why this idea persists.
And made me seriously consider if my cat is just a very convincing pixel art creation.
Speaking of things that might not be real, or at least what people want you to believe isn't real, next week we're taking on Big Tobacco. 50 years of knowing cigarettes kill.
Well, pull back the curtain on the decades of internal research and marketing campaigns that hid the truth about the dangers of smoking.
So, like, the ultimate, it's not a bug, it's a feature kind of cover-up. Until then, try not to glitch out everyone, or at least if you do, make it a funny one for the rest of us.